Hello everyone, welcome to today's video. So once again we are up with another important topic. Yes, we know that we have been late. Last week we didn't upload a video. Extremely sorry for that. New city, new job. You all know how difficult it is to cope up, to learn new things and to unlearn old things and to relearn and upgrade your skills. I was stuck with all of that, went ahead with a couple of field visits and all of that, and was a lot of chaos last week. That's why I couldn't make a video. But today when we are making a video, we thought of sharing the most precious experience of my life with you with a startup. So today our discussion topic is going to be life at a startup. How is work culture at a startup, and how is the life of a management intern, management trainee, or a management professional, full-time working professional in a startup, and how is it different from an established organization or a conglomerate or corporate kind of an environment. How different the salary structure is, how different the work culture is, how different the life is in a startup, and should you as a person choose a startup or not. As an MBA graduate, should you go for a startup? That is what we are going to discuss in today's video. Today I am going to share my life experience once again with two companies that I worked with as an intern and also almost as a full-time employee. One is with ROHA Precision Systems Development, where I worked for 19 long months, from December 2021 till June 2023. Just before I came to Titan, I was working with ROHA Precision Systems Development, developed their product throughout. What did I do? What was the work culture? I'm going to talk about all of that in today's video. Next that I will cover is Plotch.ai, who has currently gone into a partnership with ONDC. They are now growing very big. Because we all know ONDC is being backed by Google itself, but I had the privilege of working with Plotch.ai and working directly with the founder of Plotch.ai, Mr. Manoj Kumar, in a live project. We have a course called Learning Business Outside Classrooms at IIT Kharagpur VG Som. There I was privileged to work with Plotch.ai as the management intern, where we did a lot of things of onboarding MSMEs on the website. We explored how the website is to be created, how a landing page is to be created, and then we created social media campaigns to lucrate the small businesses to make their own websites on Plotch.ai, which acts as a software as a service, that is as a SaaS platform. So today I'm going to talk about those experiences mainly, and how it is different from established organizations like Titan, PepsiCo India, Hindustan Zinc Limited, Vedanta Resources, or Hindustan Zinc as you say, and then Halde Petrochemicals. All of these are big conglomerate organizations that I have been a part of. And then when you see startups like ROHA or Plotch.ai, how is the culture different? How is the salary structure different? So I will start with how is the work culture in a startup. We have been talking about a lot of that now. So straight up, lot of independence, a lot of decision making abilities, and a lot of responsibility. So I'm going to tell straight away that you are going to feel important. You are going to be under the radar. You are going to be under pressure if you are working in a startup compared to an established organization. So I have worked in both. In established organization, these big giants, all those people sitting at the top of the organization, more or less a hierarchical structure, has a lot of control, has a lot of decision-making abilities, decision-making power, and they are mostly engrossed in meetings and making big business decisions, and you will not feel involved in a big organization. That's the main thing. Until and unless you create that position for yourself with years of experience, or switching jobs and reaching to that position of a general manager. Even if you are a general manager, you would still feel that there are decisions that the company heads are taking without your consent about your division. That is also a possibility. But with startup, that is not the case. That is mostly not the case if you are a growing startup, if you are a part of a startup right from the beginning or in the nascent stages. One thing you will definitely get is sense of prioritization, at least in your division. If you are handling the tech side of it, any decision that the company takes in terms of its tech side will go through you, will pass through you as a node, will always come to you. What happens in established organizations is you don't get a hang of it. Suddenly one fine morning, some kind of a change is incurred in the division that you are working in, and you get to know about it and act on it. You do not get to make the decision, and you do not get to know the first information that this kind of a move can be taken or might be taken if you are at the lower level of the hierarchy, which we all are going to be when we join as interns, or when we join as even as management trainees, or even as deputy managers or managers in our organization. Still we are going to be in a very nascent stage of our career in terms of working in a corporate, and we are not never going to be given that priority because we are not coming in with that experience. We are not bringing in board that kind of an expertise or experience. Even if we have the expertise, that experience is lacking, because of which the decisions are going to be more enforced, and we will come to know and act on it, but not the decision makers. We will not be the decision makers in corporate right from the beginning of our career. But if you see, in case of startups, at least we have faced it. I have seen it closely with ROHA Precision Systems Development in particular. I was involved in a very nascent stage with ROHA. So my internship with ROHA had started back in December 2021, where I joined as a winter intern. Thereafter, I extended that as a live project for another 4-5 months. So December to January I was a winter intern, and then I was working on a live project for 4 hours every day, and I was simultaneously working with Medtronic India as well as a live project. So I was working with 2 live projects simultaneously, and that continued till my summer internship with Titan in 2022, around the month of April. So when I joined my summers, I concluded my live project with ROHA Precision Systems Development, post which, after completing my summers, I again joined as a live project intern with ROHA, and thereafter it has been a journey till June 2023. So 1 year long journey altogether. So what did I do? I did the market segmentation, targeting, positioning. So basically the clustered analysis, where they should place the product. So I was finding the market segment where they should place the product. How is the product? I was doing the product feature analysis. How, what should be the features of the product? What is the market segment for it? How much people are ready to pay for it? What is the revenue model that we should go for, whether it should be a rental, whether it should be a razor blade model, or it should be a model where we go for a direct sell, or it should be a model where we basically pay per use, we introduce, just like I told, razor blade model kind of a situation. Or who should be our target audience? Should it be the paravets? It is a cattle healthcare product. Should it be the paravets or veterinary doctors, or the farmers directly, dairy farmers? All of that bit I was doing. Apart from that, I was working on the test marketing campaigns and pre-launch market gauging. So basically moving around in Eastern India, now in Southern India, we have been trying to see what are the market entry opportunities there. Also figuring out the supply chain and the distribution network across states. So we have been to Bihar. I have led the campaign. I've led the campaign to Bihar. I've led the campaign to West Bengal. I've led the campaign to Karnataka. 3-4 states, UP also. So we tried to gauge the market entry points. Created a network of more than 300 plus distribution channels across West Bengal. So a lot of experiences and a lot of independence, and you are the decision maker there. First thing. Second thing is the independence and freedom which you get to work with in these organizations. So as I was telling, one is decision making power, another is the freedom or the independence of thinking out of the box. You can do anything, you just have to bring positive results. That liberty the age-old conglomerates or corporates won't give you, because they have a certain norms, right? They function in a certain way. You cannot tamper with certain policies, certain ways of working of that particular organization. But you can do that with a startup, because there are no norms, there are no policies. So you're completely independent. You are completely free to introduce anything, to discard anything, because it's a very nascent stage. There are certain ideologies that you stand with, obviously, but they are not very stringent or concrete on particular things, that this is how it should be done and you shouldn't do this, you shouldn't do that. In the initial phases, I heard about a company, I think, if I'm not wrong, it was Zomato, who actually launched ads on Pornhub, because on other channels, what they would do is on YouTube, everybody would run an ad. Competitors will also be there. But on Pornhub, this is a unique thing that they came up with, and they saw a lot of traction from in and around Delhi and Bombay, around IIT Bombay, IIT Delhi. They saw a lot of traction of people ordering when they actually ran the ads. So that was a very successful campaign. But as a company, if given a chance, would Zomato do that now? Would Zomato stand for that? Is it in their policies? No, right? But as a startup, they could do that. That is exactly what I'm talking about. The independence, the freedom, the gamut is huge. It's a canvas, it's a white canvas that you are given to paint. So that kind of a thing is there. Third, the learning. So I'm talking about all the advantages of the startup, and then I'm going to bifurcate into the deep dive into the disadvantages as well. So the kind of learning that I got in ROHA or Plotch as a sense was much more than any of the established organizations, because again, you work in a department, you work in a certain norm, you work within certain policies, and you are asked to given certain outcomes. So you work towards that. But in startup, there is no defined objective that you have to do that. Even if you create an objective, more or less that will go haywire. That will go haywire, and for sure you will not stick to that. You will try doing something else, because you will come across a very interesting observation while you are doing the market research bit. You will come across a very different customer segment that you were initially thinking that you are going to target. So you're going to bifurcate to that. You are going to deep dive into that. So you are always going to experiment, and experiment is the greatest learning opportunity. So when you talk to people, when you experiment with a lot of things, when you try new things, when you try to understand where your customer segment is, when you try to understand which distribution channel is going to be the main thing, when you try to understand which touch point is the most effective communication touch point, when you try to understand which campaign should I run to reach to my customers, when you understand, when you explore who is my competitor, selection of competitor, who is my supplier, selection of supplier, all of these you do not know in a startup. And when you start working on that, and also there is cross-divisional learning, lot of them, you are not constricted to your division. If you're handling tech, you also know the product. If you are handling marketing, you also know the tech. If you are handling supply chain, you need to know the marketing. So my marketing is running here, मेरा campaign इधर run कर रहा है, I will have to keep a closer distribution point. I will have to keep a closer sales point. Where is going to be my after sales service ka point? Where is going to be my distribution network? If my marketing there, I cannot keep my distribution network 1 kilometer, 2 kilometer, 3 kilometer, 5 kilometers away, because no customer is going to turn up even if they hear the communication. So is it a D2C model? Is it a B2C model? So the retail side of it. So everything, every division you need to know as working in a startup, which makes you very agile, which makes you extremely learned. You learn from those experiences and experimentations. The agility is another thing that you gather much more in a startup than compared to any established organizations, because every time you have to pivot, every time you have to change your plan, every time there is a new thing coming up. There is no structured waterfall structure, we call it in project management, where you define the objectives and you move towards it. That is more of a corporate setup. When you work in a startup, it's an agile software, it's an agile network, where you basically move 2 steps and then you reevaluate, are we moving correct, and then we pivot. So we move in a different direction. That is extremely important in life as well, to be agile. So that trait comes from there. So in learning, in development of your the gray matter, as well as the experience, the overall gamut of it, there is no organization, no established organization, almost nil established organization that can provide you the learning that a startup can. Yes, obviously, if you are working in a division which behaves as a startup in an established organization, then you are lucky enough, which I am currently working. So I'm going to share my role at Titan Company Limited in a separate video, but I am working in a similar kind of a gamut. But if you are working in a role in a department that is established in an established organization, then the startup is a better learning opportunity for you. Now, coming to the salary and stability bit, those are the 2 portions where the startup lags. The startups to interns almost can give you nothing. But if you are a tech giant, if you are a tech expert, and if you are switching from an established organization to a startup, then you can get a very high salary. The mid-range startup, again, not the nascent ones, the extremely nascent ones might not be able to provide you that salary, but the mid-range startup will definitely can provide. If you are bringing that expertise and experience on board, they can give you that salary. But for interns, for management trainees or management people or just an MBA who has passed out of college, maybe not that much. Maybe not matching a corporate salary. For me, I was offered a PPO by ROHA Precision Systems Development, which almost matched my title salary. The other part of it, now you would ask, why didn't I join? The other part of it is stability. If you are looking for financial stability, for setting up your finances properly, for being financially independent, if you don't have a backing at your family's end, then probably the startup is not the right thing for you right away. Do not take that leap of faith until and unless you are 100% sure about the product or the market, that it is going to be a hit. If you are not 100% sure about it, and if you feel that you do not have the financial backup, maybe the startup is not the place for you right away. So if you are eligible for a startup or not depends on person to person. So if you are a person who has a zeal for learning, I can work till 8, slog my ass off till 9, 10 in the evening, I'm going to work as if it is my own company, then probably startup is the place for you. I'm going to learn a lot. I'm a very workaholic. I'm a very work-driven person. Startup is the place for you. If you want a comfortable life, then probably comfortable in the sense work-life balance, then probably not consultancies. Again, consultancies is a separate bit where you almost work similar hours as a startup and almost churn your minds off, but then you don't have that kind of big canvas to explore. So apart from consultancies, the other corporate organizations where you have a strict 9 to 5 job and you come back home, that is probably the place for you if you are thinking in that sense. Apart from this, the stability bit, if you are not financially stable, financially independent till now, and you want to work 2-3 more years and you think that the startup might close any day now, so you should probably go for an established organization. But if you don't care, if you have financial backup up to some extent, and if you want to explore, a startup is the place for you. Because if you are driven, if you want to work, if you want to learn, if you want to switch, then probably the startup is the place for you, because the learning that it will give is unparalleled. So that was it. I talked about the work culture, I talked about the salary bit, I talked about the stipend, I talked about the the stability bit as well. That is what I talked about in a startup. The life of an MBA, typical life of an MBA at a startup is go without work objectives, just work, explore the canvas, try new things in marketing or in distribution or in supply, try to understand the product at first, then try to understand the market, explore the market, create a channel, work till 8 p.m, 9 p.m from subah ke 9 a.m, be prepared for that thing, and finally go back home satisfied as a learner. One thing, burnout is a very common thing in startups, self-doubt is a very common thing in startups. So those things are going to come, which is probably not going to come in established organizations, but self-doubt in a different sense might come, that what am I doing? I'm just simply going for a 9 to 5 job, wasting my time, and one fine morning I will die. Then what is the outcome of my work? Do I feel significant enough? No, probably. In a startup, do I feel significant enough? Am I valued that much? Yes. One person, and I would, okay, so some people might be asking about the salary bit. So I would like to mention my stipend. When I was working as a winter intern, I was paid around bit of 15,000 rupees. When I was working as a live project intern on a monthly basis, I would say I was paid around 8,000 to 10,000 rupees. And on the test campaign visits which I led, I was paid around 10 to 15,000 rupees along with transportation reimbursements. And the final offer that they made me as a PPO thing was 1 lakh rupees fixed per month. So it makes around 12 lakh rupees fixed salary plus 2 lakh rupees joining bonus. Plus a variable pay of up to 2 lakh rupees. So around 16 lakh rupees CTC and 12 lakh rupees fixed, no PF and no gratuity in that included, because very nascent stage of the startup. So that was a salary bit. So we talked about all of this, and I would like to end with one quote that when I was having this conversation. And most importantly, if you have worked as an intern, it becomes very easy for you to get into the organization if you have worked fair enough. So I was having this conversation with one of the co-founders of the startup ROHA Precision Systems Development, and they he told me a very important thing, and I remember that explicitly. He told me that I'm calling you from Europe. I have a conference, but I feel that it is more important for me to talk to you right now, because they were trying to onboard me onto the organization. And he told me one very good thing: Soumajit, that is how important you are for the organization, because in any other organization, in any other established organization, if you go, then maybe the organization will become a better place, will become a better organization. The incremental growth will be maybe 0.1% with you in the organization. Your contribution, 0.1% increment it might bring to the company, not even that, 0.01% throughout your lifetime, if you're trying to bring an impact, because it is already a 40,000 crore company, right? Titan is a 40,000 crore company. The incremental benefit that you will bring to the company is 0.01% throughout your lifetime. And the value that you will be given is lesser than that. So that is an equation. If you bring an incremental growth of 0.01%, you will be valued at maybe 10 times lesser than that, 0.001%. Your contribution will be valued at much lesser than that through your lifetime. So going to Titan, does it improve the organization? Yes, maybe to some extent. Ultimately, we are a tiny bit in the organization among 2,000, 3,000 full-time employees and maybe overall employee count of 5,000, 6,000. Does it impact the organization? Yes, to some extent. But can they do without you? Absolutely. 100% they can do without you. But as a startup, since we are only 3 to 4 people now, and I was the one who was only there at that point of time, only person in India. Now one of the founders have definitely traveled to India and they are doing the work. But I was the only person who was looking after the marketing campaigns and the distribution channels in India and the market research bit. So at that point of time, he told me, you are the only person who knows the Indian market inside out from the viewpoint of ROHA precision systems development. Having you, does it make an impact? Yes. What is the impact? 33% or 40%, because you are the leader in that gamut. Is your contribution valued? Yes. Okay, they were offering me equity shares of the company as well. Let me tell you that. They were offering me 1% or 2% of the equity shares of the company, preferential shares, if I remember correctly, in the offer letter as well. So, so as I was talking, are your efforts going to be valued? Yes. How do we say that? We offer you equity in the company. Does your presence or absence make a difference? To big organizations, doesn't. At all doesn't. I'm going to tell it on your face. To startups, does it? If you have worked well enough over a course of time, and if you have an impact, if you have an expertise, it always does. And it was very true. I am telling you from my personal experience, you being in a startup or not being in a startup makes a difference. Whether they're going to do it without you, that's a different aspect. Both the organizations can do it without you. But if you compare like to like, significant impact on a startup and the value that you give to a startup and you get in a startup is much, much more than established organizations. And for me, that always matters. But the stability bit is something that pushed me back. If you ask my personal, interest or my personal take on this, that would be the stability bit only. The stipend, the salary, everything I was almost happy with it, because I'm going to work from Kolkata and they're offering me 1 lakh rupees fixed after cutting taxes and everything, somewhere around maybe 85, 90,000. What's the harm in that? Not even 85,000, I think 90,000 odd bit, 92,000. In Kolkata, what's the harm in it? But I didn't join just because of the stability part, but definitely a place to join for much more learning and much more value. A lengthy video because I was talking about my experiences a lot. Thank you for bearing with me. If you're till the end of the video, thank you very much. If you like the video, like it, share it with your friends, subscribe to the channel and hit the bells icon for regular updates. We are going to bring more life experiences. Many people have requested Titan experience, Titan experience, Titan interview. We are going to have subsequent videos on that. Just keep signed into the channel, stay tuned, and that's it for today from my side. Thank you very much.